assess them basically if we can. So when you're doing an echidna assessment, first of all, have a look at the spines. Okay, if they were knocked by a car and they slid, the spines are just hair, so the tops of them will like sort of shear off. So you can really see that they've grazed along the ground. Okay, the second thing to look for, you might just have to wait 5-10 minutes till they start walking in front of you. Okay, the next thing to look at is any blood drops behind them. They bleed quite profusely when they do bleed echidnas, quite a rich sort of coloured blood. If you can get a glimpse at the beak, the most common injury is a broken beak for them, which is not always cupcakes, but often it is. If you can get a glimpse of the front of the beak, when they're a bit hot and bothered, they'll blow bubbles, just salivary sort of bubbles. As soon as they've got anything internal going on, blood starts coming out of the nose almost immediately. So you'll see like red bubbles being blown. Okay, then we know something's wrong. Last thing to look for is just symmetry. Okay, so you know the echidna sort of plod that they do. Because their legs are really short, they really struggle to hide any sort of leg damage. So you'll find that they really favour one side, or they just drag a back leg is the other common one. Okay, so just look for symmetry in the way they're walking. Now, if none of those things are showing up as being a problem, the echidna's probably fine, just going for a stroll. So we can't relocate them either, so you can't take it somewhere else because it's near a road. And the best thing you can probably do is just be a human block. If it's walking towards the road, just stand in front of it until it walks off, and that's really all you can do. There's some really groundbreaking research being done on echidnas around the airport at the moment because they keep going on the runways, which isn't ideal. Some of the tracking that's been done with them has just shown them going 30 k's that way, 30 k's that way. The amount of roads these things cross is just phenomenal. But because they don't sort of shoot out, I think people actually see them a lot better than other animals. So we don't get as many hit by cars as you'd probably think. Okay, but yeah, we're learning a lot about, if you were to even take them somewhere close by, they go kilometres past. So there's always going to be another risk for them wherever they go. All right, so that's our assessment. Now, we'll start with the most simple with an echidna. Let's say it's gotten into someone's shed and it's just got disorientated. So you've got a solid ground to work with, either concrete or something that's solid where it can't dig. Okay, in that situation, all we're doing is picking it up and taking it outside. Okay, and letting it go again. Okay, so when they're on something solid where they can't burrow. Okay, with an echidna, under here is really nice and soft. It's actually as soft as this soft toy. It's really beautiful fur under there. Okay, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to get our hand between the front and the back legs. Okay, this is the position we're trying to end up in. Okay, so working our way backwards. If you've got welder's gloves, fantastic. That'll take the edge off. The smaller the echidna, the sharper the spines. Okay, the little ones have got the ones that get under your nails and be annoying. Okay, look, I generally find just like wrapping a towel around my arm is enough protection, but the little ones can be a bit sharp. They could definitely give you a pinprick. Would make you bleed. So either your welder's gloves, towel around the arm. So as you start going underneath here, they'll generally do one of two things. First and most common is that they try to push on your hand to stop you going any further underneath. Just be ready that sometimes when they do that, they lift that side up and you can just quietly come from here, then they do that and you can go further under. Okay, so just be a little bit ready to go from that side. Others will just start trying to dig into the concrete, and in doing so, they just sort of end up almost going over a bit. So you've got to be quite strong, just worm your way, well, not strong, you've got to be quite forceful is the word. So worm your way in underneath. Now, when you do pick them up, they will go to the toilet a lot of the time, and it will be in a projectile fashion. Okay, it is. I was with a German film crew probably 2 months ago, and I reckon from me to that pole away, I hit a cameraman in the eye. And he had that one shut as he was going. It was beautiful. So the person holding the echidna is safe. Okay, you're the only one who can't get done, and it can go any direction. So don't be surprised if you like this and it goes, what? That doesn't make sense. Now, the main thing I want you to be careful of is their way of trying to get away. They're going to get this beak, and they're going to try to force their way down, down behind your arm. Okay, echidnas are strong. You'll be really amazed. If they just even start, as soon as they get to there, they're like soap. Okay, so if you feel like they're getting in there, get down on one, crouch down. So I'll stand up so you can see you. So that way you can use your leg to stop them going underneath. Okay, is your very best bet. Okay, now in terms of being able to assess them, they're very hard to assess because they do just roll up into a ball. Really, the only way you can do it thoroughly is with two people. And you've got to lie them on their back. One holds the front legs, one holds the back legs, and from there it can go anywhere too. So one's like this, getting ready to go. You're only ever assessing a kidney with your mouth open once, I'll tell you that. That's not that warm either. So, yeah. All right, so salty but not warm. All right, so what we also need to be aware of with these guys is the rescue box. Okay, they will, I mentioned the echidna test before, they're just really good at exploiting a little hole or something and very, very strong. So, look, we had a couple of really old ones here. There would be these boulders that 4 of us couldn't lift. You get here in the morning and it would have moved 5 centimetres that way, and the echidnas did it. Like, it's just crazy. I know a lady who, just a member of public, who called us with an echidna. She found it the night before, didn't know what to do, and put it in her laundry just to hold overnight. Laundry was empty, in her words, but there was a fridge in there. She woke up at 3 a.m. to the fridge falling over, because the echidna had knocked it over, and it had already been in and out of the plaster wall 3 times. So really, really strong little beasts. So even with those plastic rescue boxes, what I tend to do with an echidna, if it's a big one, is I'll just tie a little rope or something around it so it can't force its way through the middle of the container. So if you've got your latches there, if it gets its nose up underneath, it'll just lift and start going out. If they do get into your car seats, they burrow through them as well, which can provide challenges. We've had a couple that police have taken away from kids that were just hassling them and stuff, and they bring them up here like, oh, we got you an echidna, like we want one. So I had, one had burrowed into the back car seats where they put it. It was through all the springs and everything. It was crazy. The other one they chucked on the back seat, and then they're like, oh, it's in the back, and I looked in there and couldn't see it. It had gone under the driver's seat where they've got all their electric stuff. It took me 2.5 hours to get that thing out, because when they're jammed somewhere, they put their spines up and you can't reverse them. So we ended up having to take the whole seat out, did $4,000 worth of damage.
Just take out the
yeah, that's exactly right. So I think we can safely say that echidnas don't like police. I think that's a fact. So I think we know that. So, all right. So now I've scared the living daylights out of you with echidnas. I can also tell you that they can take some amazing injuries and survive. They are incredible fighters. We don't know their life expectancy, but we know that there's one being tracked at the moment that's been tracked for the last 50 years and is still going strong. So what that means is giving them a long 6-7 month rehab is very worthwhile. Unlike a bandicoot that might live for 1.5 years, if it's already old and got a 6-month injury, there's just not any point in that at all. So lots of luck with these guys. They do pretty well. I see a hand there. Yeah.
So how do you contain them?
Just in the rescue box, but making sure it's nicely secured and that it's a box that they can't get out of. Okay, so plastic tubs. Yeah, I just use a bit of rope, baling twine, anything like that, just once around the outside. I've never had one get out. I just feel more comfortable with that, because if they did get out and you didn't know, and they came under the seats and went under your brakes or something, there's no way you could kick them out the way quickly. Like, they just hunker down. So yeah, I mean, when I kick echidnas, I can't kick them very far. So I'm kidding. You what?
You get under them to kick them.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah, I just think it's about safety. That'd probably be one of my least favourite animals, I think, to get out in a car. I think they could bring a fair few dangers. All right, so
I find it their least favourite as well. Imagine going back to the station, $4,000 damage to the driver's seat.
That's right, and probably didn't get permission to get the echidna in the first place, but that's all right. Absolutely, love it. All right, so dog attacks are another really common one for them. So if we're going to someone's backyard and a dog's been attacking one, quite often what you'll see is large patches of spines missing where the dogs have pawed at them and ripped the spines out. Often you see bite marks. So in that situation, we probably have to dig the echidna out, which is, again, going to come with a few little risks. So if you see a message that says you need a shovel for this rescue, the other thing that you'll need is a bit of time, just in case they're a bit hard to dig around. So make sure you allow at least sort of half an hour to 45 minutes just in case. Okay, so it all depends on the ground and how you're going to dig them out. But essentially the main thing is we obviously don't hit them with a shovel. So all you'll see is the spines, maybe just a little sort of circle of spines. The spines will always have a slight lean from front to back, and straight down the middle of them, the spines just sort of do this. It's almost like a zip. Okay, so have a close look, then you can just visualise where everything is. Okay, so the beak most of the time will be underneath them when they dig, but occasionally it will be out if it's sandy soil. So just allow a little bit for the beak. The front legs don't go out much further than this soft toy. They haven't got a lot of reach. The back legs can go out that far. Okay, they're amazing. So the back legs, they'll just, and that's how they lock themselves in. So it's really important you don't get under them and just reef them out of the ground, because you'll break their little ankles very easily. So we need to basically dig around them however you want to do it. We want to get about that far underneath them. Okay, taking a nice wide berth so we definitely don't hit anything. Okay, and look, if it's sort of hard soil, sometimes you can get underneath them and quietly lift them up in a wad of dirt, and they don't even know that you've got them. So you can just take the whole wad of dirt and put it all into your rescue box. Otherwise, just make sure your rescue box has got a few layers in there. So not just one towel. If you can put sort of the blanket and a couple of towels, just so they've got something to nuzzle right into. They'll probably get underneath it all anyway, but it'll just less chance of them sliding all over the place. So again, it's pretty common sense digging an echidna out. Just don't hit the echidna. And also, if you've got a crowbar, I just suggest taking it with you, because it'll just be a bit easier to hoik them out. No one's ever hit an echidna with a shovel as part of our service, and we'd love to keep it that way. That'd be great. All right. Look, recording where they're from. We're going to talk about that at the end as our last slide, because we do that with all our animals anyway, so I'll leave that for the moment. Puggles, so baby ones, we don't get a lot of rescues of them. Usually it's an excavator or something just accidentally digs up a burrow. So look, when we do get them, a baby echidna.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's actually not the scientific name, but it's what everyone calls them. I don't even think it's got a name.
That's all right, fair enough.
One of the ugliest things you'll ever see.
Just like
they're so ugly,
everything
they're
else.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, give it a nickname.
Yeah.
All right, so look, the
4 or
youngsters, the one thing is that we can tell if a female is a lactating female, because obviously they aren't going to have their babies with them past just a few days after the eggs hatch. So if it's a lactating female, we'll basically do everything we can within 48 hours, and then we kick her out the door. The babies will sometimes be, or will often be on their own for 5 days at a time. They don't even see their mum. Okay, the mum just goes on a feeding frenzy, comes back, gives them one really rich feed, and takes off again. So that's why we sort of go, okay, 2 days. So we might be calling you guys to come and do a release of an echidna for us. If it does look like there's a few wounds and things, and you probably wouldn't normally be releasing it, that'll probably mean that there was a baby. Obviously, we'll tell you that, which means we need to get her back out and hope for the best, really. Long-acting antibiotic and have a go. All right, any questions on echidnas? Beautiful. Well, let's go. We'll do a 10-minute. Let's